Hey, yo, yo, it's go time, and I am going live with you right now. What is going on, my party people? It is Saturday, and I'm doing back-to-back streams. I did one last night. I'm doing one again tonight. You know why? Because they supposedly shot down the supposed Chinese spy balloon. That's news. I covered it. Whoa, who is that? They supposedly shot down the supposed Chinese spy balloon. I know, I just said that, dude. So my watch page is working, and I'm looking pretty good over there. How is everyone doing in chat? We got my beautiful mods like Rose Bellman here. All right, who else do we got? We got Faith all up in the chat. Gonna get this party started. Let's get retarded in here. Let's get retarded and queer. Let's get retarded in here. Let's get retarded. Drink a beer. All right. JT says, let's go. Right. BVB23 says, puff, puff, pass. What if you're by yourself? Who do you pass it to? All right. Jonna X is here saying hi, Jake. Hi, Jonna. Glad you could make it tonight. All right. A few more while we're letting the people roll in. I got a lot of videos lined up tonight, just so you know. Got a good one. So hit that like button. It's going to be good, I promise. You're not going to regret it. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribed if you have not done so already. And all that jazz. All right. Geoff Henny, what's up, bro? Haven't seen you in a while. Cat I Am says, hi, Jakey Poo. Oh, yes, I love it when people call me Jakey Poo. It's just so wonderful. Thanks for that. All right, so let's go ahead and start with a quick video. All right, so apparently when they first saw this balloon, it was in Montana. So way up in the northern part of the country, right? People would call that like northwest-ish part of the country. And so this thing moved quite a ways since Thursday. So we'll start with a quick video here showing you how quick this supposed Chinese balloon moved over the United States. All right.
All right, let's get into the excitement of the Chinese weather balloon. We talked about it earlier in the newscast. It was spotted earlier this week on Thursday over Montana. Today, a lot of people over Missouri, Kansas City, St. Louis saw it. And tonight, we think we know where it is. And I'll tell you why in a second, over western Tennessee. But the upper level winds, which is what I have on here, are going to continue to carry it very quickly off to the east. So sometime tomorrow morning, maybe between about 8 and lunchtime, it could be somewhere over North or South Carolina. This is a very inexact science. Imagine putting a little toy boat in a river and trying to figure out where exactly it's going to be and when exactly it's going to be there. You know it's going to be downstream, but you don't know which side of the river it's going to be on, or if it's going to be this town or one town down. That's kind of what we're dealing with here, trying to find.
So they have a map with arrows and shit of where they think it's going, right? And it's like, well, it's an inexact science. Well, you got a map up on screen with arrows and shit. Dude, if it was really controlled by China and they didn't want you to know what they were doing and trying to spy, man, they wouldn't like fly it right along with your map anyway, right? So this is just stupid. You got the weatherman now on local news telling everybody about the supposed flight path of the supposed Chinese spy balloon that they supposedly went on to shoot down. And of course, they waited till it was over the water to supposedly shoot it down. So look how far this sumbitch has traveled to get to the Atlantic Ocean. So they're saying they waited for it to get to the Atlantic Ocean, and then they shoot it down. Well, that thing traveled really far, really fast, man. I mean, for a balloon, that's a long damn way, man. From Thursday to then Saturday morning, this thing's over the ocean, and they can shoot it down. Like, very strange. So already I'm trying to figure out. I got two different theories. It's a cover story because a satellite balloon carrying one of their satellites came down, or perhaps even carrying a decoy of the International Fake Station. Something they didn't want people to see came down, and so they have a cover story that it's a Chinese spy balloon. They wait for it to get over the ocean, and then they take it down, and then they go gather it up. So there's the cover story angle. Then there's also the angle that they want you to see it, and that the whole thing's made up and it's like a big distraction psyop story. So I'm going back and forth between whether or not it's a cover story for something they didn't want you to see, or whether they did want you to see it. And then there's a part of me that wonders if any of the footage or any of these pictures of this damn balloon are even real at all, because I personally don't know anybody who got their own footage that I can trust. And so there's a part of me that thinks this whole damn thing could just be doctored up and phony too. So those are the scenarios I'm looking at right now. It's easy to think that they planned this whole thing out with the balloon and planned it all out. But I could also see a scenario where a satellite balloon, a satellite that is not in outer space, of course, because that's fake, but a satellite that's up there attached to a balloon comes down a little too far by accident, so they can get out in front of it by saying that's a Chinese spy balloon. And then as it gradually comes down to a spot like over the ocean, they can take it down and go gather it up. See, here's the thing. If they were to shoot down something that they need to go gather up that they don't want the public to see over the United States, civilians could get to it, and it could be troublesome if they shoot it down over Montana in a thicket of forest and snow. It's going to be a pain in the ass to go get it. So I have to look at it like if something came down that they didn't want to come down and they need to gather it up, they can tell the public it's the Chinese spy balloon bullshit, yada yada. Wait for it to get over the water, take it down, and then go gather up whatever instruments or whatever they think they need to do with it. So if it's something they don't want the public to see or have or know about at all, they could run a cover story. And then, like I said, go gather it up out of the water. Whereas if it came down, like if they were to have shot it down over the middle of the United States, in a cornfield in Nebraska or wherever, they'd have to go gather the damn thing up and deal with the civilians and all that stuff. So out in the water, they can go gather it up much easier and without the public getting in there and peeking in and seeing what's going on, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to look at it from a few different ways I haven't made up my mind is what I'm getting at. So it also could just be complete bullshit. And I'm also looking at that heavily as well. So I have not completely made up my mind, but I know what they're telling me is horse shit. All right. You guys with me so far? You guys following along? So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to check out the footage of it being shot down. And then we're going to break that down. We're going to look at some different footage of it being shot down. And then we're going to look at some pictures of it and just discuss like the different possibilities of whether or not this is a cover-up story, meaning they didn't want us to see the damn balloon and it got down too low, so they had to come up with a cover, or whether this is a whole planned psyop from the beginning. So we'll get to all that. And then we also have to consider that Chinese folks, at the tippity top own this place and have land here. And there's all sorts of Chinese business that goes back and forth between here and our country. So we're going to factor all that in. We're going to get all to that. But let's go ahead and listen to this guy tell us about how this thing's going to the ocean. And it did. It went to the ocean, just like they have shown on screen.
Find this balloon. Now, let me tell you why we think we know where it is. The balloon doesn't have a tracking device like an airplane or a satellite does, but Our government's pretty good, and they have sent up a U.S. Air Force airplane from Offutt Air Force Base in Oklahoma earlier this afternoon, and this is the track of that airplane. And look where it's been circling for quite some time. So there's not much else going on out there. So odds are that's where it is. And again, could be over the Carolinas sometime tomorrow morning. For us, that Arctic cold front is through and the cold air is here. So that's what we're dealing with tomorrow, but not much else really as we zoom through the day tomorrow on future.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is I found this short video clip of supposedly the U.S. fighter jets shooting this thing down. And so automatically I'm like, well, why are they spraying chemicals? I mean, those aren't regular contrails right there. That looks totally like they're spraying right there on camera on purpose. So it looks like some chem jets. And then we see the balloon bursting right here. So what we're going to watch this a few different times and analyze it. So I have to wonder, is this some bullshit footage we're seeing? Or is this actually real footage of jets shooting down a balloon? We have to ask ourselves, is what we're even seeing on the screen even real to begin with? And also I got a donation coming in that says, what is China trying to spy on? Our Walmarts and McDonald's? Exactly. They already have, plenty of Chinese people living here and way better technology than a stupid balloon. So apparently the Chinese have admitted that, yes, it is their balloon, but they're not spying on us and that it's just a weather balloon. So this could be just a big stupid cover story for something as simple as a satellite balloon that they didn't want us to see. Or it could be, like I said, a complete planned psychological operation from the get-go. And then, like I said, what we're seeing, we don't even know how real this is. So there's so much to dissect here, and it's easy to just say, it's all fake, everything's fake, that's fake, it's all fake. But they do sometimes do real stuff and have a fake operation in place at the same time. So sometimes it's hard to keep track of the fake details. You understand? And so if there never was a damn balloon to begin with, and those aren't even real planes, and the whole thing, everything's just CGI, well then that's completely different than them like actually having planes shoot down a balloon over the ocean for real to fake us out. Because I wouldn't put it past them for them to shoot down a balloon over water to fake us out for real. But I wouldn't put it past them to just put this fake video together. So I'm at this weird dilemma where it's like, we're just going to watch it and try and figure it out together. Knowing that it's fake in one way or another. It's just how fucking fake is it? And thank you for the donation. All right.
You hear that boom?
They just shot it down.
No, they did.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can see a falling something, a falling white thing, and then there was like some little shiny stuff too. And I was wondering where the part that looked like a satellite or the International Fake Station, I was wondering where that is. So I was trying to see like the thing that the balloon was carrying. That's more what I was interested in seeing fall, not so much a spent balloon. But this was one of the videos I came across of it supposedly being shot down. All right, we'll watch it one more time because it's only a minute. Okay, so the chem jets come in. And I guess they're shooting it. And then it pops, of course. And I see a little tiny little shiny thing right there falling way down, like quite a few little shiny things glistening. So I would be more interested in that and where that's falling down. But instead, they stay focused on the spent balloon. I'm not interested in the damn spent balloon at this point. I'm interested in what the hell's falling and where it's falling to. But we don't get that. Okay. So on. My bad. I hit back on my stream software rather than the video. That was a mistake. All right. So I got some more video footage. Well, it's not my video footage, but I found some video footage that I thought was pretty interesting. And I'm trying to piece it all together like a big giant puzzle. No, they didn't shoot me down. I hit the back button on my StreamYard program. So I went up and hit the back button and it just put me out of the studio. So no, they didn't do that. That was my own mistake. I meant to hit back on the video so I could go back to my playlist. Here we go. All right. So this footage is like a different angle, apparently. And there goes the jet by. And again, we don't see much but the spent balloon just coming down. And so I was more interested to see what was attached to it. If they could get a good shot of that and where does it land, sort of thing. I wanted to see if it's splash in the ocean and shit like that. But I was not able to find that when I first started searching. So I don't know if any more videos have been posted. So once we watch a few, we'll do an updated search and see if there's any new information on this that's come out in the last, like, I don't know, hour since we've been on here.
that's been traveling across the US over the last few days. Authorities temporarily closed the airspace over the Carolina coastline as the balloon approached the Atlantic Ocean, where a fighter jet finally brought its journey to an end. Beijing claims the balloon was a civilian research airship that strayed into US airspace. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who broke off plans to visit China earlier this week, called the incident a clear violation of US sovereignty. Well, here is US President Joe Biden speaking to reporters about the downing of the suspected Chinese spy balloon.
On Wednesday, when I was briefed on the balloon, I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within 12-mile limit. They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later.
All right, so Joe's out looking like a boss. Well, whoever's pretending to be Joe. This could either be CGI Joe or this could be somebody in a mask Joe. So whoever's playing Joe today comes out looking like a boss, right? Like, yeah, I said we should shoot it down. And they were like, well, we should wait till it's over water. So we waited till it was over the water, and we knew they were totally going to go to the water. So that's why we waited. And then when they did, we totally shot it down. I was saying we should have shot it down, but they thought that the stuff would come down and hurt the people. You know, I thought we should have just did it anyway, but instead they were like, let's wait till it gets to the water. So then it totally went to the water like we expected. Yeah, that's what happened. Funny how it went to the water just like they expected, right? Like, oh yeah, China's going to start flying back, you know, towards the Atlantic Ocean that way for sure. They're just going to totally do that. We know they're going to do that. So let's just wait until it's over the ocean. So there's a part of me that wonders if this is a satellite balloon or has the fake station attached to it. Either or. Those are interchangeable for me. Something they didn't want you to see that got a little too low. And they were like, shit, we're going to have to bring this thing down into the ocean and go gather it up. And people are going to freaking see it. So let's tell them it's a Chinese spy balloon. Kill like two birds, one stone sort of deal. So that could be like the damage control. Or, like I said, the whole thing could just be fake from the get-go. And they wanted us to see it. And they wanted us to know. Or it could totally be as fake as to not even exist at all. So there could have been no balloon and no jets, and everything about this is just 100% fake, made for TV. I haven't really had anybody in the comments tell me that they saw it. So usually there's people who will be like, I was there, I saw it, I know it's real. But I haven't had anyone that I saw yesterday tell me that they personally were there to see it. Let's check. I know I know people are gonna lie. Did anyone here see it? There's already someone. Here we go. I knew that was gonna come. Somebody's gonna say they saw it. So okay, so I have to consider that maybe there was a thing that they didn't want us to see that started coming down. So, like I said, I'm half and half on this one. Oh, Rose saw it. Oh, everybody saw it. Oh, he saw it on TV. Okay. Okay, so perhaps, like I said, perhaps it's something that came down that they didn't want us to see. So a little after we run the rest of this, I'll make reference back to Truman Show. Let me remind myself so I don't forget. If you guys remember Truman Show, one of the lights in the studio ceiling fell down, and when Truman found the light, it said like there was like the name of one of the stars. I forget it off the top of my head, and he didn't understand what the hell it was. So it was basically a light that was supposed to be one of the stars, representing one of the stars, and it fell out of the studio near, you know, in the street or wherever the hell it was, and Truman found it. So I can go back and look up that moment in the Truman Show, find like a little video clip of that moment, hopefully show that. And it's like, you can imagine if a satellite or something came down that they didn't want us to see. And then they have to run damage control cover story. So some of you might not have seen that movie or don't remember. I'll bring that back into I'll bring it back into your memory here in a minute, or show you what you missed if you never saw the movie.
Well, let's get more on this with DW Sumi Samaskanda in Washington, D.C. So what more do we know about how this balloon was brought down, Sumi?
Rahila, new information has been coming to us. The Pentagon has released a statement about the operation, and they confirmed that these were fighter jets from the U.S. Northern Command that took down the balloon over the coast of North and South Carolina in U.S. territory. That is important because it dismisses any questions about jurisdiction here. The statement also said clearly this was a balloon being used by China to surveil sites in the U.S. So that is a response to China's explanation of this being a weather balloon. And I found it interesting as well that the statement said that President Biden gave his green light for the Defense Department to move ahead and take down this balloon on Wednesday when he was briefed about what was happening. It was then the military leadership itself that deemed that taking the balloon down over land was too great of a risk because
taking it down over land was too great of a risk because there's people down below and we didn't want to hurt the people. Yeah, right. Not buying that. So if there was something that they needed to take down, but they didn't want to do it over land because civilians are nosy and they're going to get in there and fly their drones in there and, civilian drones and figure out maybe what's going on. People show up and get there, gather around, create a crowd, whatnot. So rather than, and then them have to go gather it up. Like I said, if you were to shoot it down in some mountains in Montana, then you got to go there and deal with the snow and all the shit and try and gather it all up and stuff. So perhaps it's the most easiest to avoid people seeing it in crowds and all that stuff, and avoid nasty snow and conditions, that if they wanted to take it down and wait, they wait for it to go down over the water and go gather it up. Which reminds me of like when rocket ships out of Florida take off and then they go down in the water and then the government goes and gathers them up. And the public thinks that the rockets go to outer space. So I put the two and two together. Okay, rocket ships don't go to outer space. They shoot off towards the ocean and then go splash down, and then the government can go in secrecy, scoop it all up. Or let it sink to the bottom and then they know where the hell it is or whatever and do whatever with it. But so I think the same might apply if a satellite balloon was to come down on accident and they wanted to not let the public figure out what the hell it is, don't want to risk the public seeing it on the ground or whatever, and they don't want the story to be that this thing actually landed and hit the ground and all that shit. So they just wait for it to go over the water and then they can go scoop it up. So if it was something that they really didn't want the public to see, something that was valuable, then that would make sense that they would wait and go get it over the water when for sure no one else can get to it first. So I'm kind of looking at it from different angles. And again, the whole thing could also just be fake as funk from the get-go. So I'm also keeping that into consideration as well.
of the size and altitude, as they wrote here, of this balloon, the threat of debris injuring people. So they decided to wait until this balloon was over open waters. And as soon as it was, again, off the coast of the Carolinas, they then took action. And they said in a statement, we will quote, always put the safety and security of the American people first. And, you know, you saw that soundbite from President Biden just there. He was landing in Maryland en route to Camp David for the weekend. Interesting that he emphasized again that he gave his green light on Wednesday. The military decided to wait until the moment was right. The reason he's really been driving that home, it appears, is because he's been under a lot of pressure particularly from Republicans, for not having acted sooner, perhaps even before the balloon entered U.S. territory. His answer is that he gave a green light. The military decided the time was right now.
And how important is it?
Nothing like a couple of Indian ladies to tell you how it's all going down, right? You could trust these Indian ladies, right? They're good script readers. I know. So you have to wonder, like, where in the hell are they going with all this? And so I've heard of reports that there are multiple, but so here's where shit can get a little wacky. Is I've heard that there was a second balloon sighted in South America. So if there's more than one balloon, then that means like the chance that, you know, two balloons malfunction or multiple balloons malfunction and came down, then the cover story angle kind of goes out the window, and it being set up and fake makes more sense. So then I have to wonder, if one balloon came down that they didn't want to come down and they ran a cover story, they could also cover their ass by saying there was another balloon in South America to divert attention somewhere else. So there's a lot of different angles here, like I said. So I know they're lying. I'm just trying to pinpoint down exactly how they're lying and why they're lying. Are they lying to cover their ass because they screwed something up? Or is this just a total planned psychological operation? This one's a little dicey. It's a little weird. I can't quite see what the hell they're going to run with this. And I also have to remember that, you know, China and the United States are like butt buddies. They sell us a bunch of cheap shit and we buy their cheap shit. So there's really no reason to think that China and the United States are like really at odds with each other.
Further details at this time. That first Chinese spy balloon was seen flying over parts of the Kansas City area today. The U.S. military hasn't shot it down for fear of falling debris. The Pentagon says it doesn't present a clear threat. The federal government has taken action to protect sensitive information. KMBC 9's Brian Johnson is live after talking with people here who saw it. Brian?
Yeah, Chris, most people could not believe their eyes. Many of them thought it was still in Montana, where it was first sighted. Tonight, as we look up, you can see the moon. We have clear skies, but people are troubled as it continues heading towards the east coast of the United States.
People want answers.
I don't think it's right. I don't think it should be overflying.
It's Jack Black, guys. Look, Jack Black pretending to be Rick White. I caught you. I don't know for sure if it's Jack Black, but that's kind of funny, right? Jack Black pretending to be Rick White. Even if it's not true, it's totally funny. Let's just back it up a second, because these this picture shows, like I said, this part that looks like solar panels or an international fake station. So that's what I was more interested in seeing in the footage of it being shot down. I want to see where that part lands. So here we can see very clear visual evidence, at least in their photo, of what looks like solar panels. And I said it resembles the international fake station, those solar panels. And so I suggested it could be a balloon carrying a decoy international fake station that accidentally came down. And that also runs hand in hand with it. That could just be a satellite that they didn't want to come down, accidentally came down. Or this whole damn thing could just be bullshit. And so I'm trying to look at the different footage and look at it like a damn puzzle and piece it all together. And so when I look at that bottom part, you can see that bottom part, like you can see it clearly kind of does resemble an international space station from far away, right? And it also could be just a satellite, like it could be some sort of satellite balloon that stays up there and moves around and has its own motor and own energy source and all that shit. So it could just be something that's very valuable to them that they don't want us to ever get a hold of or figure out what the hell it is. And so they can run a cover story, take it down, and go gather it up out of the water. So, man, there's so many scenarios. Well, mainly those three. And I'm trying to piece it all together and figure out the one that makes the most sense. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure on whether it's completely fake, completely set up, or, like I said, cover story, like this thing accidentally came down. They need to go gather it up out of the water. But it moved a long way. From Montana to the Atlantic Ocean is a long damn way. That's like, what, 2,000 miles from Montana all the way to the Atlantic Ocean? 1,500 to 2,000 miles. So that thing moved around pretty quick, and they seemed to know it was heading for the Atlantic Ocean. Crazy.
I don't think it's right. I don't think it should be flying over here, because what are they going to try to fly over here next?
What is going on? What is going on?
iPhone pictures captured the Chinese balloon passing over Kansas and Missouri. The National Weather Service tweets, "It's not theirs."
This is the lens that my husband got me.
Monica Perkins from Amity, Missouri, captured images of the balloon in stunning detail.
I love this little camera.
You can see solar panels and a rig of instruments hanging below the balloon. ABC reports it's the size of 3 buses.
It was a really weird, eerie, kind of unsettling feeling.
Perkins says it doesn't just float, it maneuvers.
I was on one part of my yard and it was kind of moving one direction, and then it just kind of like stops and starts going another direction.
The balloon traveled near the Lake City Army Ammunition Plant, Whiteman Air Force Base.
We have a air reserve base close to us.
Many locals want action.
All right, and then here's another option. China owns this place, and that is their balloon, and they are using it to spy on you. And the United States isn't shooting it down over the country because they're letting it spy on you. So so I've heard people come with that shit. But now that it went over the ocean and then they shot it down, that's something like they can't really run with anymore. So if China does own this place, they're not going to just like shoot down the balloon. But then they did. So I'm trying to piece it all together, because I do think China does own this place. So if they were to have let it go off and keep drifting away, then we can say like, oh, they purposely didn't shoot it down and purposely let a Chinese spy balloon purposely spy on you. But see, they covered their ass right there by shooting it down over the water. Supposedly shooting it down over the water. And again, how real is this shit anyway? I tend to agree, just another ridiculous psyop. Yes, and we're led to believe that China owns our debt. And there's reason to believe that they could be, in the process of exterminating us here in America so they can come over and take this land when the time is right. But you got to wonder what sort of shit they're running here, which direction they're going. All right, let's continue.
Should have shot it down a long time ago. I mean, when it was an open country.
Just the not knowing of what it is, what it's all about. Are we really being told everything?
Brian Johnson, KMBC 9 News.
Now, the U.S. government says it continues to follow the balloon. ABC News reports the military may shoot it down once it reaches the Atlantic Ocean.
And of course, they supposedly did. All right. So this is a video of a satellite balloon being launched out of Antarctica, supposedly. So they do admit to having research balloons. And so check out the panels on this thing here. So this thing has panels. It doesn't quite look like the other one. It's much smaller, but you get the picture. So this is supposedly NASA launching a satellite balloon from Antarctica. So if the satellites aren't in outer space and they're attached to balloons, well, perhaps one can come down once in a while by accident. And this could be like their preemptive cover story for if any other ones ever come down. This could be like the cover story is that they're spy balloons. I don't know. And again, this is coming from NASA, so take it all with a grain of salt. So I noticed when I look up pictures, they're all grainy and shitty. So nobody's got like a really good crystal clear picture of this thing. So that's one thing that leads me to believe like this is just a lot of fake garbage that we're being shown. And so like all these images that I find, they're just really grainy and shitty. It's like I can't find a really nice picture of this. And so like in this one, you can see two sets of panels on the sides, and it kind of resembles like an International Space Station shape. And so that's what I was looking for, like falling down from the balloon when it got shot. I was trying to find this shape right here to put the puzzle pieces together. So I was trying to even find some still shot images. And even those are all shitty too. So all the images I could find are just shitty. See, like this. So you can see something falling down there, but what the hell is it? See, every time I try and find like a decent picture of this, I end up with these grainy, shitty photos. You can try and blow it up, then it just gets grainier and shittier, right? So you can see this thing right here, some pixelated shit falling, some specks and stuff. But I can't find any like good quality pictures of this, or at least I haven't yet. So it's an interesting puzzle to try to put together if you're just a bystander who is only seeing it on TV and video screens and whatnot, because I personally didn't see it with my own eyes. And so I kind of have to go off what I'm being shown and stuff and make sense of it. Sean Smith, has anyone seen them pick it up out of the ocean? Yeah, I doubt we're going to find any footage of that. I can run a quick Google search on and see if any new infos come out. Here's one from 11 minutes ago. Here, I'll share it real quick. It says U.S. works to recover debris intel from downed Chinese spy balloon. So we get a still shot, and they're telling us this is from 11 minutes ago. So since we've been streaming, this is the newest news that I can find. U.S. works to recover debris intel from downed Chinese spy balloon, and then we just get a picture of, a dock out in the ocean, and then somebody walking by. Pentagon working to recover Chinese spy balloon, expects valuable intel from it. Oh, okay. Okay, see where they're going now? Okay, so now they can say we found the Chinese spy balloon. We recovered it, and we had our experts look into it, and we found some really valuable shit, man. It turns out, and then they can make up some shit from there. Yada, yada, yada. See? So then they can have some planned story that they found XYZ valuable information from this balloon. See where they're going? Very valuable intelligence. Oh, it was so valuable that they flew it over and just hoped and prayed that we didn't shoot it down. What's up, bitch? Gotcha. Chopping you up in real time, bitches. All right. David Yount says, GOAT, Truth or Jake, funny and entertaining and honest always. Keep it up, bro. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, you're seeing me figure this out live in real time. Like, this is, like, we started the stream, and this shit came out since the stream started, basically. All right, Jake, it's damage control. Oh, this one's coming from Omrit2. Thanks for the donation, buddy. He says, it's damage control. Why would China need to spy on the U.S. when they're all in full cahoots? All spy stories in history are a distraction. Oh, I know that that's a lie. I've been saying that that is a lie from the beginning. I know 100% it's not a Chinese spy balloon. I'm just trying to figure out, like I said, if it's an actual satellite balloon with our own instruments that are valuable to us that we just want to recover out of the water, and they're running the Chinese shit as a cover story. or whether the whole thing's completely fake from the beginning. See what? And there was no damn balloon that accidentally came down. So that's the part I'm still trying to piece together. But I know for a fact it is not a Chinese spy balloon. You don't have to tell me. I've already made that very clear. So they're saying the Pentagon is working to recover the Chinese spy balloon, and they expect. So they're going into it expecting valuable intel. Why would you expect valuable intel from a balloon in plain sight that you can shoot down so super easily? Why would the Chinese even do something like that? And then why would you expect it to be such valuable intel? Right? So none of that makes sense from any angle. The Pentagon working to recover the spy balloon, and they're expecting, going into it like, this is going to be some awesome shit. Oh, those Chinese are going to wish they never spied on us. So let me tell you what, it's going to be good. Let's tell Fox News so they can run with this before we even find out what it is. We're just going to expect that it's going to be good. See, like, see, they're leading the public all into this conclusion before they even get there. Pro wrestling does this too. They'll kind of tip you off to what's going to happen in the future in the story. You can kind of see like when a guy's going to turn on another guy, when a good guy is going to turn into a bad guy. They'll start planting little seeds, and then you'll see it coming, and then they'll do what you saw coming. So I've seen this angle in pro wrestling. They kind of tell you what's going to happen, and so they're expecting to find something valuable. So when they do find something valuable, we'll know that that's what they expected. All right. Let's see if they got an up-to-date or up-to-the-minute video. No, I guess not. Okay, so that's as far as the story goes, it looks like, for right now. Okay, so possibly something was shot down. Supposedly something was shot down, according to the mainstream media. And so very well something could have been shot down. Then the question becomes, was it a satellite balloon that they are purposely gathering up and keeping secret from the public with a cover story that it's a Chinese spy balloon? Or is this whole damn thing fake, including the images that were being shown? All I know is it's bullshit. It's just not sure where exactly they're going to go with this. So I guess we have to sit and wait and hear what the valuable intel is that they find. Maybe reassess the situation from there. So maybe by tomorrow they'll have found it, had their experts look into it, and figure out the exact intel that they knew was going to be so coveted. Yeah, by tomorrow, that sounds about right. In the land of bullshit, in about 24 hours, they'll come out and say they already recovered it. And sure enough, just like they suspected, they found some useful intel. They just totally made me sneeze, those assholes. They ordered a Chinese sneeze. I am very blessed. Thank you. Whew. So yeah, man, that story developed quite a bit since yesterday. I was wondering like how fast the damn thing was going to move. So that balloon moved pretty quick from Montana to get to the ocean, then shot down. So now we have to see how long it takes them to, go gather it up supposedly and have their experts like look into it. And then they're pretty sure that the intel's not going to be destroyed when it gets in the water. Like, what if it was valuable intel, but since like you shot it down over the water and then like it gets destroyed somehow in the water? I don't know. So they're pretty confident that it's going to be valuable intel, and they're also going to be able to like recover it out of the water and still not going to be a problem. It's not going to be destroyed. It's going to be valuable. Can't wait to hear what that valuable intel is, because I'm sure any valuable intel that they find out, they're going to tell us, the public. That's what they do. Central Intelligence Agency figures out stuff, and then they tell us on the news so that we're all smart and know what's going on. That's why they call it the Central Intelligence Agency. They're figuring shit out, man, so that they can teach us what's going on through the use of television. God bless all the heroes. Oh, yeah, the Truman clip. Exactly. Thank you for reminding me. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube. Hopefully I don't get a copyright claim and it shuts the stream down. All right. I think I found it. But first, looks like I got a super chat coming in. Oh, no, it was an old one from David. Yeah, never mind.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah. Morning, Truman.
Morning, Spencer. Hey, Pluto. Oh, no. Get down.
He won't hurt you.
Get down. Yeah, I know. It's...
Okay, so that's a movie that I would recommend. I don't recommend a lot of Hollywood bullshit, but that's definitely one I would recommend that everybody watch. So a light falls out of the sky, and the story of the movie is that Truman is a real person living in a reality TV show, and he doesn't know that it's a reality TV show. He was born into it. So he was born in the world's biggest studio, and everyone around him is an actor. And that was the movie. And this was in the 90s before anyone could ever believe something like that could ever happen. So it was ahead of its time. So he is the only real person, and everyone around him is an actor, and he lives in a giant studio, but he doesn't know it. And so a light falls out of the ceiling, and that light was representing a star. And here he is, confused, wondering what the hell is going on. So how that relates to what we just saw with the Chinese spy balloon, let's say a satellite that is supposed to be in outer space, but outer space doesn't exist, is coming down from the sky because it was just attached to a balloon and floating out of the sky. It's coming down out of the sky, and the regular people see it, and they have this moment where we figure out that outer space and satellites aren't a thing, that satellites are just attached to a balloon. So right here, Jim Carrey's trying to figure out, or his character's trying to figure out why the hell this thing fell out of the sky. And so he goes on to like see something on TV or hear on the news or in the newspaper. I forget exactly how, that an airplane dropped some equipment. So the cover story is that an airplane dropped some equipment. And so he's given the cover story through the news, and he finds out, oh, that's why that thing fell out of the sky, was because an airplane flew by and accidentally dropped some equipment. Hey. Hey, look at this. Awesome. Hey, I'm live right now, but that's really awesome. Oh, you're online? Yeah, I'm live. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye. Bye. Shay just won a lot of money at the casino. My friend Shay just showed me a picture of the screen of the slot machine she was playing, and she just won a lot of money. Wow, I'm really happy for her. Okay. So right here, how this relates to what we just saw with the spy balloon, possibly. And this is just a scenario. If the spy balloon, or not, excuse me, if it was a satellite balloon that came down by accident and was being seen by people, they could run a damage control cover story that it is a Chinese spy balloon, right? Some stupid shit like that. So here in the movie, they run a damage control report that a airplane accidentally dropped some equipment. Just food for thought. I had to explain the whole damn thing for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, because it is like, it was made like shit over 20 years ago. David Yount says, Dave Wise must have ordered that cream of some young guy with the gay Chinese balloon delivery. You mean David Weiss? David Weiss orders the cream of some young guy soup with the Chinese balloon delivery. Balloon delivery. Thanks for the donation, buddy. So it's representing the Sirius star. Yeah. Sirius satellite radio. So that light in his world was representing what he thought was a sun. So Truman thought that that was a sun, a burning gas ball millions of light years away all his life. And here it's being revealed to him it was a light in the sky the whole time. But he can't put it together just yet. He hasn't fully figured it out just yet. So he's sitting here wondering how the hell this ended up in the street. It's a very powerful movie, way ahead of its time. See, now it makes a lot of sense, too much sense. So if you go back and watch it now, it's eerie. But back then when I first watched it, I was like, wow, that's very clever. It's a cool story. And it's not like a typical Jim Carrey movie where he just does a bunch of physical comedy. He actually like does a good job of like doing some dramatic parts in this movie. All right. Yeah, I saw it a long time ago. I actually saw that movie in the theater, and there were people who got up and walked out. There were people who thought they were going to watch a regular Jim Carrey movie, like where he does stuff like in Dumb and Dumber and The Mask and stuff like that. And it wasn't like that. I remember people like halfway through not understanding the plot and just walking out. So I actually saw that movie in the theater. Let me look up and see when it came out. $1998. It's a long time ago. Me So Hungry says, I think it's the best Jim Carrey film. I think that's one that shows his like range of acting, like, and being able to like play that part as the Truman, like one of us figuring out we live in the fake world. That's pretty good. However, rewatchability, I'm a sucker for the first Dumb and Dumber movie. I must have seen that one 100 times. So, and there's still parts that I know are coming. I've seen the movie so many times, but I'll still kind of chuckle at some parts. So, when I was a kid, I saw Dumb and Dumber in the theater, and it was the funniest thing I had ever seen. Like I had never seen another movie that was that funny. And then when it came out on VHS, I watched it probably 100 damn times. So I would say that that's my favorite all-time Jim Carrey movie. And then here's a funny story. Many years later, when him and Jeff Daniels did the next Dumb and Dumber movie, not the one with the other two actors, but when they got back together and did the Dumb and Dumber 2 or whatever they call it, Dumb and Dumber. When they did that shit, me and my friend Drew, who was in my band Z Strain, this was 10 years ago or whenever that movie came out. When that movie came out in the theater, we knew it wasn't going to be very good, and the reviews were bad. So we said, let's eat some mushrooms and go watch Dumb and Dumber, so that way we know it'll be at least kind of funny. So we split like an eighth, me and my friend Drew, and we went and watched Dumb and Dumber in the theater. And it was like just leaving the theater. So it was like one of the last times they were even going to show it in the theater, and it didn't do well. And so we went, and there was like maybe 2 or 3 other people in the entire damn place. So it was like one of those theater shows where it's like you and 4 people. It's like 5 people total in the whole fucking place. So we were loud and obnoxious, to say the least, because it was a terrible movie. It was so terrible that we started making fun of it loud and obnoxiously. And so we were making each other laugh just by making fun of the movie, to where I remember having such a fun time and the movie being so terrible. But since we were making jokes and we were on mushrooms, it was still a fun experience. So I saw Dumb and Dumber in the theater as a kid, and I saw Dumb and Dumber in the theater as an adult on mushrooms, and they were both good times. The difference was Dumb and Dumber is a fucking retarded piece of dog shit movie. But if you watch it while you're on mushrooms and you make fun of it, it's somehow fun. I don't know. So there you go. Cable Guy is underrated, and it is funny. If you go back and watch Cable Guy like once every 4 or 5 years, it still is kind of funny. Kind of. Pet Detective is a little too Jim Carrey. So I don't like Pet Detective or The Mask. I did when I was a kid. But as I got older, it's just a little too Jim Carrey all the time. Alrighty then. Ooh, just too much. So now when I go back and I see Jim overdoing it in The Mask, you know what I mean? Smoking and all that shit. It's like it's too much. So when I was a kid, I thought those were good. But now when I go back and watch them, it's too much physical Jim. Not enough actual substance in the lines or anything else or any of the other characters. It's just all Jim overacting. So I'd say my favorite ones would probably be Dumb and Dumber. I also like Liar Liar. I thought Liar Liar was a good movie. Even though the story that he can't lie because this kid made a wish is ridiculous. A retarded storyline. Mentally disabled storyline. His kid made a wish, so he can't lie. But you got to admit, he somehow made that shit funny. But I don't really like the way Jim Carrey turned out to be just another sellout like all of them. That's the way it goes. Any sort of celebrity that I ever liked eventually turned out to be a sellout who showed their true colors. Martin Gingrich says, Me, Myself, and Irene is my favorite. That one's pretty funny as well. Again, really stupid storyline. But that one was pretty funny. Fire Marshal Bill! Yeah. That's about all the Fire Marshal Bill I can do is just say Fire Marshal Bill. Yeah, he pokes fun at the Illuminati, right? Pokes fun, but he's not like out there spilling any real beans. So he still goes on those late night shows and does the whole schmoz and schmooze Hollywood shit, right? And then he mixes in a little bit of that with his humor, and the sheeple look at that as just him joking around. So really, he's not like pushing the truth any further by like quasi admitting some truth through his physical comedy. Like him going on the Jimmy Kimmel show or Jimmy Fallon show and being like, the Illuminati's all in on this. You're in on it right now. You're part of it. You're all a part of it right now. It's the Illuminati. Illuminati. It's like if he does something like that, people aren't going to be like, wow, he's totally telling the truth. No, that's just him he's not really busting their balls. That's just him making the sheeple think that he's doing a comedy routine. So I don't look at anybody in Hollywood as any sort of truth teller, even if they mix a little bit of truth in with their routine or in part of their script. They're not actual truthers. Hollywood gets them all, man. Eventually, if you want to be in that business, you got to sell your soul, right? So when Jim did that extra bad movie, the second one, Dumb and Dumber, it was like, it's just a paycheck at this point. So then you got to trade, your comedic value and your art for a paycheck, even at the expense of a shitty script that you didn't spend enough time on, right? And desecrate a movie that should have been made 10, 15 years earlier when they were both in their prime. Dumb and Dumber 2 should have been done a year or two after Dumb and Dumber 1. And then it would have been passable like Wayne's World 2 was passable. Wayne's World 1, awesome. Wayne's World 2, not as awesome, but still pretty decent. So they could have done Dumb and Dumber 2 right after Dumb and Dumber 1, like within a year or two, and made it passable. But instead, he waits 20 years. And so by then, it's like it doesn't make any damn sense anymore. And it's just ridiculous. And it's like he's just doing it for a paycheck. So then they're all just doing shit for a paycheck at this point. They're not going to sacrifice their position in Hollywood sacrifice all the money they made to come out and let us peasants and sheeple know any real truth. Yeah, they get to all of them. I was a big Carlin fan as well, but he was in Hollywood movies as well. He even like played the devil in the movie and shit like that, right? So he was in commercials like dial 1-800-collect. Next, remember when you would call 1-800-collect and all that shit? 10 cents a minute, anytime, anywhere. Just dial 1-800-COLLATT. Shit like that. I think he did one of those or several of those commercials. So he was just as big a sellout as anybody. And then he mixed that into his comedy routine about other people being sellouts. And then he's like, yeah, but didn't you do that commercial, 1-800-collect commercial? Yeah, well, I did. So that's for you to factor in. I forget exactly how he admitted it, but he admitted he was a sellout in his own routine. Goldilocks with a donation. Thank you, Goldilocks. I appreciate that. Martin Gingrich with a donation says, my favorite all-time comedy is Step Brothers and Chris Farley, Black Sheep. What's your thoughts? Those are semi-funny movies. I like the old Chris Farley movies. They're fairly funny, and the Will Ferrell stuff is not my cup of tea. It's like half of his movies are just kind of okay, and the other half I don't even like. But everyone else seems to love Will Ferrell no matter what he does. But I think like Will Ferrell did like 2 or 3 kind of funny movies, and then the rest are just. But I guess Step Brothers was kind of funny. Yeah, I was never the biggest Will Ferrell guy, but you know. Nowadays, I don't really like anybody in Hollywood, so you don't see me like kissing anyone in Hollywood's ass and telling you how much I love them, you know. So nowadays, I'm the funniest guy in the world. I say and think the funniest things, and I know it. And everyone who watches me pretty much has figured that out too. So if there was anybody in Hollywood who was truly super awesome and funny that I liked, you know, I would be talking about them. But nowadays, I'll sit here and try and look on the internet to see if anyone's even funny anymore. And if I go back and watch something old that I used to think was funny, now it's less and less funny. So now if I go back and watch a comedy routine from somebody who I thought was funny 10, 20 years ago, it's less and less funny. Yes, I am the funniest human being in the world right now. And ever since I figured it out, it made everyone else so not funny or less and less funny. So I'll go back and be like, oh, let me watch one of these classic comedy routines from the 80s or the 90s that everyone loved and is such a classic. And a lot of those don't hold the test of time anymore. They don't stand the test. There's still some funny moments in those old comedy specials, old Eddie Murphy specials, old Richard Pryor specials. There's still some funny moments, but man, you'll start getting bored. Like you really got to get buzzed in order to go back and enjoy like a full comedy set from back then. Dominic Z says, I like crackers and snacks. Oh yeah? Do you like to go out to the ball game and eat some Cracker Jacks? I bet you don't care if we ever get back. So if you like crackers and snacks, hit the thumbs up button right now. If you yourself are a cracker and you like snacks, hit the thumbs up button. YouTube likes crackers and snacks when you hit the thumbs up button, so it would be in your best interest to hit the thumbs up button. If you don't hit the thumbs up button right now, then you are a bad person. So what are you waiting for? Hit the thumbs up button. YouTube loves it. YouTube's going to want to give me oral if I get enough thumbs up. They're going to give me oral through giving me lots of YouTube views. That's how you get oral on YouTube by YouTube, is getting lots of YouTube views. And so I think the way that I get lots of YouTube views is everybody and their mom in the world all hits thumbs up at the same time. It'll overload the system, and Al Gore and his rhythms will stroke the viewer experience mechanism, and it will turn on a view faucet, and I'll go viral, and everyone around the world will be talking about me and how much they love crackers and snacks. So I'm pretty sure that's a good reason to hit the thumbs up button right now. I got more chicks flashing me money than chicks flashing me tits. Let me tell you what. But up, bing. I never thought it would be like that. Yes, the females appreciate me. That's why. You know what I notice is there's females out there who do appreciate me. And so the ones who reject me in the local dating market and don't know anything about me and don't know about my personality and just based on looks alone or like meeting me once, you know, for a second, like they'll automatically dismiss me. Instead, I got a bunch of open-minded females here. Well, maybe not a bunch, but several here who understand and appreciate me. And it's awesome. It makes me feel good. And they show their love with donations from time to time, which I appreciate and I thank them for. Epstein's CII. Epstein is CII. IA. I see what you said there. I don't think stand-up is funny that much either. In fact, it's kind of a rough art form because if you want to get started in stand-up, you have to like go to stand-up open mics, and stand-up open mics are terrible. You're just going to tell jokes to other comedians, and they're a couple friends who don't really want to be there. Maybe one guy has a girlfriend who doesn't want to be there. And so if you ever get started telling jokes and you start at the bottom, you have to go to shitty open mics. And then the very next level above that is like smaller clubs. And smaller clubs can be tough too because it can depend on the crowd. If a crowd's drunk and not really wanting to listen to you, it can be tough to get their attention and get them to listen to you. So if you can get past all that bullshit and get good enough at stand-up comedy to where like you have a good audience at a good comedy club, then you can actually like enjoy the art. But getting started in comedy is the worst. And I've done stand-up comedy in local comedy clubs, small ones, and at open mics. So I've done it plenty of times. And it is the bottom of the barrel of entertainment in a lot of cases. Just bad because not a lot of people want to go watch new comedians perform. So not a ton of people want to go to a small comedy club and give a new comedian a chance. So it's a very boutique audience who even wants to go watch that shit. So I've found that I can do my own comedy routine that's not exactly stand-up. It's me just critiquing the world and mixing in jokes as I please. And I actually have a better experience doing it this way. And I make more money doing it this way. So I'm doing a comedy routine right now. It's just not a traditional stand-up routine. And instead, we can have a conversation. I can talk to you guys, play video clips, mix in my jokes organically. And it's just a more fun experience for me to do comedy this way than it is to do it in a stand-up comedy club in front of a sheeple audience who doesn't understand my personality and my style of jokes. So if I have to do jokes for a stand-up crowd, that would be like a completely different thing that I would have to prepare. Then I have to do regular setup punchline style jokes. Rapture Ready says, ever listen to Joey Diaz? Possibly I might have, but the name doesn't ring a bell. But I might have. Thanks for the donation, buddy. I agree, Joe Rogan sucks. You know who else is popular who sucks is that Pat Shill-ass McAfee. And a lot of people who watch my channel watch Pat McAfee. The statistics tell me a large portion of my audience watches Pat McAfee. And that guy is a damn NFL shill. He's not funny. He's not talented. He's being forced down our throats artificially. His celebrity is artificially inflated. No one man does all those jobs on his own. He's being pushed and pulled in a bunch of directions by handlers, and everyone has fallen for this Pat McAfee bullshit like he's some wonderful thing. And the guy is an NFL crony, a Bud Light spokesman. Right? He gets paid by FanDuel, gives out shitty picks on purpose, gets paid $30 million to promote FanDuel. NFL shill, says the NFL's not rigged. And meanwhile, a large portion of my audience watches him. So I know, I'll bet you a portion of my audience still listens to Joe. And I don't understand it. So I don't know how, guys like Joe and Pat McAfee have such gigantic audiences. I mean, I get it because they're artificially inflated. And there's a lot of stupid people out there who fall for it. But it's sad to see, even in my own statistics, there's a chunk of my audience who watches Pat McAfee. And I know it because YouTube tells me that. Yet, here's the deal. Pat McAfee works with the WWE, and so he knows all about sports entertainment. He wrestled in the ring in a match, so he knows what it's like to fake fight, to put on a show, sports entertainment. And then he's going to try and also shill for the NFL and act like it's not rigged. The dude already came out and said a Steelers game that he bet on was rigged, that they rigged the ending of a Steelers game. And then he had to come out 4 or 5 weeks later, 6 weeks, whenever it was, and then say it's totally not rigged and that it's just the refs making bad calls. So I don't understand how anybody who watches me and enjoys what I do can also go watch Pat-ass shill McAfee. So if you're one of those people who watches that loser and you watch me at the same time, I don't know how you do it. The only reason I would ever watch that guy is if he says the NFL's not rigged and I'm going to make a video about him and expose his shill ass. That's as much Pat McAfee as I watch. If he says the NFL's not rigged, and he did, well, then I'll make a video about it and prove to you guys he's a piece of shit. I listened to his damn Bud Light music video for about 30 seconds and just wanted to put a gun barrel in my damn mouth. Ugh. That's a song I'll definitely never finish. Yeah, Rogan might have been a slightly decent human and comic before he completely sold out. Once he said that if they showed him an alien, that he would lie to his own mother. Literally, verbatim said he would lie to his own mother if the government would just show him an alien. And then he was on Fear Factor for several seasons, and then he got the deal with the UFC. He wasn't even a sports guy, but he got the deal with the UFC. And then his podcast being the #1 podcast in the world, I don't get it. And he has a bunch of shill-ass people like Neil deGrasse Tyson show up. Remember, back in the day, Joe Rogan said he thought the moon landing was fake. And then he had Neil deGrasse Tyson show up on his stream, and he kissed his ass like a bitch. And then he took back his stance that the moon landing was fake and said he thinks it's real. And he's just a dumbass forever thinking it was fake. So fuck that motherfucker. Fuck him in his shill asshole all day long till the break of dawn. All right. Brining Shitely with a donation says, can I get a quick recap on the stupid balloon? Sure. So I'll show the minute-long clip of them shooting it down. One sec. Of them supposedly shooting it down. Okay, so I'm not even sure if this is real footage, but this is them supposedly shooting it down. And we don't get a whole lot of detail. We just get to see like a white thing shoot out what looks kind of like a CGI puff of smoke, CGI puff of gas or whatever. See, this whole thing could be CGI, but if it is real, it could be something that they didn't want to come down, and so they waited for it to get over the ocean so they can shoot it down and then go gather it up. Hold on, I got a donation coming in from one of my mods. Let me get back to this footage in a minute. Jonna with a lovely donation, very generous, says, we love your many talents, Jake. You are highly entertaining. You are the greatest. Oh, you are the greatest audience a guy could ever have. You know what? You guys make me feel better whenever I'm feeling down, and you're there to listen to these supposed crazy things that I have to say that my friends and family, you know, outside of YouTube don't even want to listen to. So there's people who I was friends with who thought all this shit was just crazy conspiracy theory talk. And I'm glad I have an audience like you guys who will actually listen. You know, people do agree with me. It makes me feel better that there's people out there like you guys who feel the same way I do about this stuff going on. So thank you for your donation. I appreciate it, Jonna. You are a sweetheart. I'm glad you're here tonight. All right, so quick recap for what we showed at the beginning. They said that they shot it down, and they showed some videos of something supposedly being shot down. And they say it's over. They shot it down over the Atlantic Ocean, and now they're going to go try and scoop it up out of the ocean. And the government says that they're suspecting to find valuable intel. So I was suggesting, and I got a couple different options. One, it could be a cover story for a satellite balloon, a satellite that you would think would be in outer space, but is instead attached to a balloon, a sataloon, if you will, accidentally got a little too low, and they needed to go gather it up without the public knowing about it. So they came up with a cover story about the Chinese spy balloon, waited for it to get to the water, and then took it down, and then they went and gathered it up. So A, it could be a cover story for a malfunctioning sataloon, and they don't want the public to know what it is or how it works. So, or we have a second option here that it could be a planned psyop. So this whole thing could be fake. Every little damn video and thing that they're showing us all could be fake. Could be a planned psyop from the beginning. So that's also an option. So we're looking at those two as the main, the what I think is most likely. I'm kind of split between the two. Yes, it very well could be sataloon damage control. So if something happens unexpectedly, the government can totally run a cover story. Damage control. So like Pat McAfee runs damage control because I exposed the NFL as rigged. I exposed the NFL as rigged so bad, they had to get Pat McAfee on my case and do damage control and tell everyone it's not rigged. So this could be a case of damage control over a sataloon getting a little too low, malfunctioning, losing some gas, what have you. It comes down. And so instead of them trying to regather it on land, they just wait for it to go over the water and then go gather it up. Or like I said, this also could just all be bullshit and fake and set up from the beginning, and they totally wanted people to see it. So whether or not there is even something up there to begin with is still up for grabs. I'm not completely sold on this whole story. So there might have been a balloon, but they might have had a fake video of them shooting it down. See, so it can be partially real and fake at the same time. Like they might have had a real balloon that people saw, but then the video that I just showed of it being shot down might have been a CGI bullshit video. See, so I'm not 100% sure one way or the other, but I'm 100% sure it is a fake story. It's a lie we're being told. It is not a Chinese spy balloon. 100% sure about that. I just can't for sure tell you how real it is or fake it is. One way or the other. So if it's a cover story and they really shot down a real Satelloon and really went and gathered it up, that could be a possibility. Or we could be being shown a bunch of CGI pictures and CGI videos and just be completely being deep faked out of our minds. Somebody bringing up something completely different says, imagine eating something that grows from cow shit. Well, are you talking about mushrooms? Because mushrooms grow off of a lot of different mediums. Dung is just one of them. And so if you think because cow shit is gross, and so a mushroom that grows off of cow shit must therefore also be gross. Well, that's not the whole story, because I can grow that same mushroom off of rice. In fact, this is what it looks like if you want to grow mushrooms off of rice. Edible, legal mushrooms, of course. It looks like this. So there's no cow shit inside this jar. No cows took a shit in here. But you know what is in here? Some brown rice flour and some vermiculite and mushroom spores that are germinating. You see all that stuff in there? That white fuzz? That's mushroom spores that are all germinating inside there. For my own scientific research, I'm going to grow edible, legal mushrooms for my own scientific research. So you don't have to grow mushrooms on cow shit. That's just one of the things that they could grow on. And you sound like a guy who maybe hasn't eaten any and had any fun times. Let me tell you, there are some edible gourmet mushrooms. Exquisite. Fun times. Cat says dung is medicine. Well, for plants, yeah, plants love dung. So in the world of like nutrients, you go mixing dung with your weed plants, you're going to have better results. So if you like growing marijuana, then you're going to have an appreciation for animal dung. If you grow marijuana in soil, outdoors or indoors, there's additives that you can add to your soil, which will definitely make your plants grow better. And dung is one of those things, of course. So manure is sought after for its nutrients. Cows just eat a bunch of grass all. So even when we were talking about cow shit and human shit are different, actually, because cows just eat a shitload of grass. If you let a cow do its natural thing, it's going to eat a bunch of grass. And cow shit doesn't have that same smell as like nasty ass human shit. Let me tell you what. I've been on farms, dairy farms, and many times, and that smells not near as bad as someone's nasty human shit. Let me tell you. And then once it's processed, like for using for growing, like if I ordered a bag of manure online and then opened it up, it looks like dirt. So once it's been processed and stuff, pasteurized and all that stuff, it's like dirt. So if you order horse manure or cow manure online, and it'll come in a bag, and you can use it for gardening, growing mushrooms, what have you, it's not going to smell. And if you reach in and grab a handful, it would be like grabbing a handful of soil. It's not going to like be like liquid shit on your hands. So They gather up poo and they sell poo because poo is useful. And if you want to learn how to grow mushrooms, every single type of growing method is right here on YouTube. But basically it goes like this. Here's how it goes. You have to order a mushroom spore syringe. So it'll come in a syringe like this, and it'll be full of water and mushroom spores. And you order it in the mail. And there's only like 3 or 4 states in the United States that don't allow mushroom spores to be mailed. California is one of them. So you can order from Canada or another country and they'll send it to you because they don't care. They're not worried about the laws. So Canada spore companies will send it to you, and most of the states you can send spores in the mail. And it comes like this. So it'll come in a plastic or like a piece of tubing like this in the mail in a box. And it'll have your mushroom spores in there. All right. And then in jars like this is the easiest method for a beginner. You're going to grind up brown rice, and then you're going to get some vermiculite. You're going to mix those two together. You got to know the right portions, but you can find that online. So you're going to mix those together, and then you're going to pressure cook it inside this jar, inside of a pressure cooker. So you put it inside of a jar, and then you pressure cook it, so you sterilize it. Then you take your mushroom spore syringe, and you shoot the mushroom spores inside the jar, and then the mold from the mushrooms takes over like so. See? And once it completely takes over an entire jar like this, then it is a mycelium cake that you can remove from the jar, and then you put it in a fruiting chamber and it produces mushrooms. So I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but somebody brought it up, and it's an interesting topic, so why not? All right, so this is what it looks like if you're going to grow cakes like this. See? So this grows into a cake like that, like you see, and they call that a mycelium cake. You remove it from the jar and you put it into a fruiting chamber. A fruiting chamber is basically a clear Tupperware, and you fan it out with some fresh air a couple times a day. Squirt the sides with some water so that it's nice and humid. So you just create a humid condition for the mushrooms to grow inside of a Tupperware, and they grow off the sides of this cake. There you go. Like this. That's what it looks like. See, so they grow off the sides of this. So right now, this one's like 50% colonized. And when it gets completely colonized, I'll pull it out and put it in a tank like those ones. Yeah, so that's the easiest way for a beginner to grow mushrooms. So basically, and then check it out. You collect your mushroom spores from your fresh mushrooms, and then you can make your own syringe, right? So you collect the mushroom opens, you collect your own spores, and now you got your own mushroom syringe, and you can you can continue doing it forever. So imagine like growing weed and how long that takes. Well, this only takes a month and a half. From start to finish, mushrooms in your hand. If you got started today, in a month and a half, you would have mushrooms. And you can grow a lot. And it's cheap and easy. And the laws are like have been decriminalized a lot. So the next thing I think they're going to do is legalize these things. So the more mycelium you got, the more mushrooms you got. See? The more of these you have, the more mushrooms you have. That's how it works. Luis, dude, I've been growing my own for the past bunch of years. So whenever I want some, I create my own. You understand? And I always have some. So I'm not like trying to be a dealer or anything. But as you can see, if you just have a little Tupperware, you'll always have enough for you and your friends. And if you wanted to sell a few here and there to your friends and whoever, you could. But I'm not trying to be like Mr. Mushroom Dealer or whatever. I'm not going to do that and then brag about it online. But I'm just showing you how this is something anyone can do. And it's way easier than growing a pot plant. Growing pot and taking care of it from start to finish is a pain in the ass. And if you do one little thing wrong, you're screwed and your product will suck. So if you mess up one little thing growing pot, like all your work can be for nothing. You can get to the very end and just not dry it correctly and just screw it all up. Whereas mushrooms is like in a month and a half, start to finish, it's in your hand. And if you grow a mushroom, whether it's big or small, it's a mushroom. So it's not like weed where you can like spend all this time and energy and then end up with just half-ass weed that didn't quite turn out that well. No, if you grow them, the mushroom's going to be packed with the same psilocybin, whether it's big or small, it's still going to have it in there. So even if you grow a little bit, you're still going to have some. Some's better than none. What I'm saying is you don't need to go buy it from anyone, and you can grow it in a cardboard box in your closet, and there's no smell or odor. And you can buy everything for pennies. But I mean, everything's cheap. I think the pressure cooker is like the most expensive thing. So anybody who wants mushrooms, and it's something that grows naturally, whether you grow them or not, there's mushrooms growing out there naturally. So it's not like you're cooking up chemicals. So I don't compare this to other drugs because as you can see, like this is a fruiting body. This is like a science experiment, a fruiting body that you're growing off of mycelium, which is a living thing. Whereas like mixing up chemicals in a bathtub and blowing up your house, like that's drugs. Those are gross, evil drugs. So I don't consider someone growing some mushrooms in their closet the same as like somebody whipping together some chemicals. All right, so I went off a little bit there because somebody said, imagine eating something that grows off cow shit. And it's like, well, you don't have to eat it if it grows off cow shit. You can eat it if it grows off of a rice and vermiculite cake. Oh, good night, Faith. Looks like Faith is taking off for the night. She's in the East Coast time, so she's going to bed, sounds like. Bye, Faith. Constitutional Remedy says, Jake, do you want a wife and kids? That sounds good if it was all set up in the correct way, loving wife who's not going to leave me and all that stuff. Yeah, if it's set up in my head with it all perfect, yeah, that sounds good. But the problem is divorce is like more than likely the outcome. So if you get married, there's like a 60 whatever % chance you're going to get divorced. That's what the stats say. And then 80% chance that the woman is going to be the one who initiates the divorce. So 80% of the time when a divorce occurs, it is the woman. And then you have to go through the whole, child support deal, getting destroyed in divorce court and all that stuff. And so getting married is becoming less and less of a thing that men are wanting to do, including me. And so thinking about marriage is not at the top of my priority list. And so if it would have worked out that way, that I would have gotten married to the right partner and had the family and it would have all worked out that way. Yeah, that sounds lovely in my head, but it didn't work out that way. And so at this point, I'm almost 40. So trying to think like, am I going to find somebody that I'm going to want to like enter into a legal agreement and actually get married? I don't know if I need to do that. So I can be with somebody without getting married. And then having kids, the window is closing, and trying to raise a kid in this sick world and just keep them from being jabbed would be really tough and difficult for me as a parent. So just keeping myself healthy and unjabbed is difficult enough, and it's going to be increasingly more difficult in the future. So trying to bring someone into the world and make sure that no one jabs them and no one corrupts them with misinformation, it would be very difficult. So I could see it as being a good thing to pass on my legacy and pass on my DNA and all that stuff. But at the same time, the scenario just doesn't seem to be set up perfectly for me to do that. And so I don't want to go knock up the wrong partner and make a bad choice and end up with a kid that I don't get to see that often or any of that stuff. So as it stands, I am a single man with no kids, and it's not looking good as far as all that goes. I won't rule it out completely because you never know, but looks like that window's closing. Real one says, bro, it's expensive. Oh yeah, I've had friends who have 2-3 kids, and all they do is just work, and they don't ever really get to like get ahead and take vacations and stuff, it seems. So I know people who are just constantly chasing that grind, and they do got their wife and their family. I'll give them that, but they're constantly chasing that grind. Got to pay that bills, and it's like a thing that hangs over their head. They have to make that paycheck every couple of weeks, pay all those bills, and keep all that going, and make sure all their kids have all their shit, make sure the wife is happy, and juggle all that stuff. And so I've never had to do all that, so I don't really know so much what I'm missing or what I'm not missing. So I'm sure it's got its good sides, having your family around and your kids around. But then I'm sure there's times where guys just want to get away from their wife and their kids and just go like do their own thing and be left alone. Go take a fishing trip, go like just be left alone, right? Go do whatever they want, and they never get to do that. So there's plenty of guys out there, plenty of people out there don't get to do what they want at all because they have their family that they have to take care of all the time. So I don't know what it's like to have a kid, but I also don't know what it's like to have a kid like interrupt me, while I'm trying to like take a shit or do something. You know what I mean? Try to like close your eyes for 10 minutes. Daddy, can you put us on a movie or whatever, So. Oh, here's a great question. What are your thoughts on the small hats? Yeah, the ones who have smaller hats than me. And I'm not hiding a small hat underneath, just so you know. One time someone's like, Jake wears that hat because he's hiding a small hat underneath. No, I'm not. But I would say that there are some evil small hats in some high positions running some shit. But and also, I don't think that there were 6 million small hats who died in the Halo hoax. So in the Halo hoax, I don't think there were 6 million small hats who were executed. I don't believe that. But I'm not going to pin every little thing on only small hats. So I think there can be other evil people and other evil entities who aren't necessarily a small hat. So I don't like to pin every form of evil on just one type of person. That's kind of like saying it's the Masons, it's the Jesuits, it's the Bilderberg group, it's the Juice. So I don't like to say it's the and then just one group of people, because I think there's lots of different types of evil people who all would work together for a common goal. So I think you can have an evil Jesuit, an evil Jew, an evil whatever. You know what I'm saying? An evil atheist prick, all work together on the same team to accomplish the same goal. So I feel like you don't have to be just a member of the small hat tribe in order to be evil. So I look at it more like, are you an evil, no good person inside, or are you a good person? But I also will tend to call what I think is an evil person a no good juice. Just, because it's a form of insult as well. I know, yes, I know the government wants no reproduction, but that doesn't mean I should go try and knock up any hoe who will let me in. I shouldn't be like trying to knock up as many girls as possible, like Genghis Khan on a tirade. So as much as like I can agree with you that their goal is to stop population growth, stop it in its tracks, and they're doing that currently. And there's a lot of different ways they're doing that. Everything from the VAXX to convincing, women it's a great idea to be an OnlyFans whore, and while the men, are getting rejected on the dating apps. It's like, and you have all these red pill guys saying stay away from the women, and then you have all the women saying we don't need a man, which is all by design. Planned Parenthood, like there to make sure that they get rid of your babies that are unwanted, right? So all the infrastructure is there for depopulation and stuff. I agree with you, but that doesn't mean I want to go have a kid right now with just anybody to fight back against that, right? You see what I'm saying? Like me having a kid with the wrong partner isn't going to solve what's wrong. So do they want reproduction? They don't want me to reproduce? Yeah, they totally don't. So if I go do it, it's not like, haha, I got you, suckers. We win, That's not necessarily the case. Because they're still going to continue with their evil plan, whether or not this one man, reproduce. Right? So even if I was to reproduce 100 kids, that's still nothing in the grand scheme of the evil. So if they're looking to kill billions of people, get rid of billions of humans, there's not a whole lot, hope in my one man's reproductive ability to solve that problem. Yeah, 304s can't be no housewife. So there's this red pill stuff, and I agree with a lot of it. Totally, she's for the streets. All these women who you got a million dudes online, they can just go and pick the best one that they want, you know what I mean? And it's a culture where even like a fat ugly woman can have an OnlyFans page and make thousands of dollars, on OnlyFans, and then a decent looking woman on OnlyFans can make millions, and then a good looking woman on OnlyFans can make tens of millions. So imagine being able to make tens of millions just because you're good looking and willing to put your naked body on an app. And so that right there has just destroyed the dating community to the point where, like, if you're a decent looking guy, you still get rejected on the apps by most all the women. And then the only ones on the apps who even will give you a chance and maybe let you take them on a date are ones that are ugly that you don't want, don't keep themselves in shape, have 4 or 5 kids and a failed marriage. So I've noticed that, like, when the apps first came out, my options were decent. I was getting good matches and going out on dates. But the apps nowadays, it's just like a dumpster fire. And it seems like the Chads at the tippity top, the bestest looking guys, like the top 20% dudes, those are the only ones that the women want. Even the average women and the ugly women, they want those dudes. And those dudes at the tippity top have all the options, so they don't want to. They don't have to settle. So the top men aren't settling, and the women want only the top men. And so we have this scenario now where we have an abundance of dudes not getting laid and pissed off and frustrated, and an abundance of dudes who don't want to even enter into the dating market, an abundance of dudes who don't want to get married. And this is by design. This is by design, but how are you supposed to fight back? Go wife up a hoe bag who's going to go cheat on you with some dude on an app? So it's hard to fight back against this system that was set up against you as a man and be like, oh, I see what they're doing here. And then still go find a nice wife who's going to submit to you and give you a family and not leave you, cheat on you with some guy on an app whenever she feels lonely, you know? So back, 20, even just 20 years ago, a woman didn't have 100,000 dudes ready to boink her on a button press notice. So a hot girl back in 1980, she would get hit on during the day in her common life. A hot girl in 1990, you'd be at the store maybe or wherever, and guys might approach you or whatever. If you're a woman, you're going to get hit on in real life, but you're not going to. But now with the internet, now it's like 10,000 dudes can hit on you. If you're on Instagram and Facebook, then that means 100,000 dudes can offer you a dick in a short amount of time. So in a year, you could have like 1 million dudes offer you a dick. Whereas like 10, 20 years ago, like you would only get hit on like out in person and out in public and stuff if you were a woman. And if you were a dude, you could take a woman on a date and she didn't have a phone in her purse with 10 million dudes' dicks being offered. You get where I'm saying? So check this out. It wasn't that long ago that you could take a girl up on Makeout Mountain and have some fun without worrying about Tyrone and Chad saying, hey, baby, ditch that loser and come over here to my house instead. See, so right now, if I take a girl on a date and some other guy who she hopes calls hits her up, she can be like, oh, I need to go, and then go hook up with that guy that quick. Whereas back in the day, that was never even an option. You see what I'm saying? If you took someone on a date, it was just you and just them. They didn't have this like phone in their hand at any point. So nowadays, you could be on a date and you're still in competition with Chad and Tyrone while you are out on a date. See what I'm saying? Big Jim says, find a girl at the library and chances are she's not an OnlyFans robot whore. The problem with a girl at the library is she's going to be a liberal sheeptard. Liberals who hang out at libraries, like at when I was in college, the college had a library, but it's a bunch of lame-ass liberal girls who want to be nurses and enter the medical industry. So here's the problem for a guy like me. If I meet a cute girl who has a liberal mindset and she's a sheep, I have to like pretend that I'm not a crazy weirdo conspiracy theorist in order to like get some of that, or be myself and scare her off, right? And so then I know it's like, oh well, if they're of this type of, if they're of that sheeple mentality, no matter how good looking she is, oh, it's gonna be almost impossible. So then do I want to even play the game and just like, if I want to just hook up, like pretend that I'm a sheeple too? I've thought about that. If I go out on this next date, should I just pretend to be a sheeple so that I can like actually get laid? Because if I don't pretend to be a sheeple and I start being myself, I'm going to scare this girl away because I'm pretty sure she's a liberal sheeptard who wants to be a nurse. All right, Goldilocks with a donation says, what's your thoughts on the Malaysia flight that went missing? Probably just a big psyop. But I also think that the Earth can be bigger than we're told, and there can be places where you're not allowed to go. So perhaps they had a plane that went somewhere where it wasn't supposed to go, and so they had to get rid of it. So I think if you had a plane and somehow they took it off course and went somewhere where it wasn't supposed to go, they could take it down and then just tell you it went missing. So that's another one of those scenarios. It could have been a psyop, or it could have been a cover story. It was a long time ago, so I can't remember all the exact details, but could have been a cover story for a plane that went off course, maybe went somewhere where it wasn't supposed to go. The moon landing was absolutely faked. Yes, not most likely. 100%, all the moon landing missions, every one of them were fake. The reason they don't go back to the moon is because they never did go to the moon. But their excuse is that they can't go back to the moon because they lost and destroyed that technology. So if you ask a sheeple who believes that people walked on the moon, they'll say that they don't go back to the moon because they've already been, and there's no reason to go, or it costs too much money, there's been budget cuts. No, the reason is that they claim that, is NASA's words, not just mine, NASA's words, they lost and destroyed the technology for man to walk on the moon and get there in a manned spacecraft. And they don't know how they did that the first time and all the times after. And since they destroyed that technology, it's a painful process to build it back up again. The exact words out of a NASA astronaut's mouth, you can go look it up. So I say they never went to the moon to begin with. And if you just go look at the footage that they show and the pictures that they show, you can see it's absolute horse shit. In fact, I got the proof right here. Does that look like a lunar module to you, or a homeless tweaker shelter? Looks to me like a homeless tweaker shelter. In fact, I even might have a picture right about here. Right about here. Bing. All right. So 100% for sure, without a fact, moon landing, the fakest thing. One of the easiest conspiracies to prove. Not a theory. Provable conspiracy that you can prove to anybody. All you got to do is just pull that up right there and just look at it. And just look how damn ridiculous it looks. And then if you really want, you can make it bigger. Show how damn stupid it is that people believe that that thing landed on the moon. Ridiculous. So I made an entire shirt out of this. And I'm the only human who ever thought to put that on a shirt. So I'm that damn smart. So yeah, what's this part right here? Oh, is this some tinfoil? What's this, like some aluminum cans and some tinfoil that they soldered together and shit right here? Like, what is like an intercom system? This looks like a tarp. This looks like a black tarp to me. Why the hell would you need this black tarp thing hanging here? And these look like curtain rods. This looks like a Twinkie or a hot dog. Like they taped a Twinkie or a hot dog and stuck it on here. This gold, got some gold tinfoil. Got some crumpled shit. Look at the joints where this thing comes together. See? Look at this. Oh, yes, very high tech. High tech shit, man. Look, see, look at this. Look where this curtain rod meets this curtain rod. Look at this hunk of shit. And this is the thing that supposedly landed on the moon the first time. in 1969. 1969, this is the technology that landed on the moon that they lost and destroyed. So they can't reproduce this technology that you're looking at on the screen. But we have these cell phones that are like a million times more powerful than the computer system that was in there. So you have a cell phone in your hand that's a million times more powerful than that damn computer that was in there. The damn computer they have in there is like an Atari Pong system, right? But they want you to believe that technology made it to the moon. So anybody who believes in the moon landing, chances are they never sat here and just looked at the module. Because anybody who looks at the module who has any brain cells left in their head has to agree that that thing looks like a homeless tweaker shelter. Right? So that's why I created this shirt, to wake people up to the fact that the moon landing is indeed fake. And if you want one, the link is in the description down below. I've been selling these for like 5 years, 6 years, or longer. I've sold a shitload of them. I'm the only human who ever thought to put NASA's own bullshit on a shirt. And then look in the background. It's always like blackness of night meets the moon, like what seems 20, 30 feet away. So just like 20, 30 feet away in the background is the blackness of night meeting the moon. So it's like you can go jump off the edge of the moon. If you just walk right behind the module, walk 20, 30 feet, that's like the edge of the moon. Yeah, so they want you to believe that men walked on the moon back then and they made it through the deadly Van Allen radiation belt. Deadly radiation belt that will kill you, fry you dead. But guess what? They made it through back then because they weren't aware of the Van Allen radiation belt back then. So since they weren't aware of the radiation belt, it didn't kill them. But now we know that there is a radiation belt, so we're trying to figure out how to get through it. So the reason they made it in 1969 through 70, whatever, 71, 72, was because they didn't know about the Van Allen radiation belt. That was how they made it, because you have to know about something in order for it to kill you. That's how it works, right? Andrew Jordan says it looks like something made in China or Africa. Or just by some like high school art students or something. Just a bunch of high school kids taping shit together. You can see they didn't spend very much time on this psyop. And they've been running with it for this long. And there's still so many sheep who think that people walked on the moon, who have never even sat and looked at this photo and ever observed it in any critical manner. So a lot of people don't even take the time to look at these photos or this footage and do any sort of critical analysis at all, and just even ask any question. And so people just grow up thinking that man walked on the moon, and anyone who says that they didn't is crazy. But who's crazy when you look at the photos and you just do a little critical analysis? You'd have to be crazy to believe that man walked on the moon and that this is a picture of them doing so in 1969. That's crazy. But I live in a world where I'm crazy for saying that this is bullshit. We live in a world where you are also labeled crazy if you think this is bullshit. Gotta love it. Oh, you're one of those conspiracy theorists, huh? Yeah, I'm one of those crazy conspiracy theorists who thinks that people walking on the moon is ridiculous because I'm so crazy. Gotta love it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure some kids throwing rocks at that thing would punch a bunch of holes in it, and it would not be able to make it back to Earth for sure. Man, so glad, that flimsy ass thing worked perfect. in a place we'd never been to. So we'd never been to the moon, and we came up with a bunch of instruments and all this stuff, you know, a lunar car, right? We have a lunar rover car. So they brought a car to the moon, and it folds up into like a suitcase and fits on there. So they brought a car to the moon. You drive a car, I drive a car, right? Everyone's like driving a car. Yeah, they drive a car on the moon too, man. And they brought it inside of a suitcase. So they got a suitcase car, and they got space suits, and they got the module itself and the rocket. So they have all these space technology that they built to go to a place that they'd never been to. And guess what? All of it worked perfect. It all worked amazing. So the rocket did its job, no problems. The lunar module did its job, no problems. They folded out the lunar rover, and it did its job, no problem. So all the machines, all the technology that they developed for a place they'd never been to, and they didn't know if it was going to work or not, it did. It worked awesome. First try, first time out. And guess what? Now, the year is 2023. We lost and destroyed that technology. And it's a painful process to build it back up. So I think we might go back to the moon in like 2025. And then 2025 rolls around. They're going to be like, 2030. 2030 is the year that we're going to go back. See what they're doing? They just keep pushing it back. So we've been being told that they're going to go back to the moon with people for a while. And they just keep pushing it back and pushing it back. And the thing is if I'm alive, I'm going to tear that shit apart. I'm going to make them look so stupid. So if they think they're going to walk humans on the earth while Jake the asshole is alive, well, I'm going to make sure to make it my main mission to tear that shit apart for your enjoyment. And for my own amusement as well. So I'm waiting for them to go try and pull this off again and show us a fake. I go ahead and try. I will just make content out of it. So I dare the government to go ahead and try this shit. I look forward to it because I will be able to make several videos out of it. It will be my #1 content, I'm sure, if they do that. So they can go ahead and try. But I'm definitely 100% going to be there to call out every little mistake I see. Any little stupid thing that they get wrong or screw up, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to make many videos about it. So I expect they eventually are going to try and pull this people walking on the moon, or even worse, people walking on Mars. You better believe I'm going to rip that shit to shreds. I'll be the #1 guy doing what I do. There'll be other people who rip it apart too, but yes, the Tesla car is fake as well. There is no car in outer space. Elon Musk is a puppet. He doesn't run Tesla. He doesn't run any company. He's a puppet in front of the government. So the government is Tesla. The government is Walmart. The government is McDonald's. And so they put these figureheads out in front of the companies to make you think that someone does it. Like Steve Jobs created the iPhone, and Stephen Hawking was this really smart, world's smartest man. Einstein was this genius, and it's always these puppets that they roll out and they get you to believe in, these figureheads. And Elon Musk is no different. So they get you to believe that Elon Musk is this super cool, trendy dude who runs Twitter and he runs Tesla, and he makes cool, funny jokes, and he sends Tesla cars to space just because he's so fun and cool, and has such an awesome, fun personality. He's not worried about money and business. He's worried about like having fun and sending cars to space. And remember when he bought Twitter and he brought a sink, and he's like, let this sink in. Elon Musk, he bought Twitter and then he brought a sink and he said, let this sink in. Yeah, see, shit like that. It's just like, he's just a puppet on TV pretending to be the owner of those companies. He pretends to be in charge. He's not really there doing anything. So people have it in their brain that Elon Musk is like the owner of Tesla, when really Tesla is the government. So the government likes to put these cronies, these fake personalities, figureheads in front of their companies so that you think that that's the person actually in control pulling the strings. So they can get you to love Elon or hate Elon when really Elon is a damn puppet reading a script. Yes, Musk is an idiot, and it's obvious if you just look at some of the shit, that they give us, like him bringing a sink in to Twitter and saying, let this sink in. That's totally like a contrived, made for TikTok, made for the internet thing. No real businessman who's looking to make money and is all about business is like, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get this sink and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to walk around with the sink and people are going to be like, what's that? What's the sink for? And I'm going to be like, let this sink in. No, that's not happening. This is made for TikTok bullshit. I don't believe in the reverse landing the rockets either. That's some CGI bullshit. Yeah, they're pushing a lot of Tesla shit. Like they had one guy in LA who was like going around with a Tesla and had a metal pipe and he was wearing a mask and he was road raging and getting out of his car and hitting people's cars with a metal pipe and then getting into his Tesla and driving off. So the news was like, oh, there's a road rager going around committing serial road rage, attacking people with a pipe and hitting their cars with a pipe. And he's driving this Tesla. And then, Elon Musk sends his Tesla to space. And so they have all this different fake setup news and shit to keep pushing the Tesla brand and stuff. And they're saying California is going to make it a law to where no more gas-powered cars can be sold by the year 2035 or whenever, and that only electric cars are going to be allowed. So if they're going to start passing legislation and laws that gas cars are going to be phased out and only electric cars are going to be allowed, you can see it's in their best interest. They want you to be driving one, and it's not because they want to cut down emissions and cut down pollution, reverse global warming, climate change. None of that is true. They want you in one of those cars so that they can track you and watch you on video camera and video record everything you're doing basically inside that car. So if you buy one of those cars, they can shut it down. They can plan for it to purposely need to be serviced. So they can program those cars to purposely break down. Planned obsolescence, as they call it. So a good running gas-powered Toyota made in the late 90s, early 2000s. You can buy like a Camry made from 20 years ago that'll run like a tank for 500,000 miles. So a good running gas-powered Toyota, they can't track you in it. It's not video recording you. They can't make it break down on purpose. So what they want you to drive is a Tesla that they can record you, track you, and make it break down on purpose. Shut it down if they want with a flip of a switch. Of course that's what they want you to drive. The electric one that they can monitor you and track you and shut it down and program it to break down. Yeah, your Honda Civic made in 98 that's got 400,000 miles and still runs like a dime. They can't shut that one down. They don't want you to keep driving your Honda Civic that runs good. They don't want you to drive that damn Toyota Camry for another 20 years. So they want you to buy the Tesla. Yeah, they do that with phones. So, like on my phone, this iPhone, they have this fucking glitch thing, a purposeful glitch that they don't fix, where I'll delete stuff, but it won't give me my data back. So I'll delete a video that took up a gigabyte because I'll save it onto a hard drive, my external hard drive or whatever, or a thumb drive, anything, and then I'll go to delete it out of my phone, and then I'll go to the recently deleted and I delete it, go through all the steps, but it doesn't give me back my space. And so iPhone's doing this thing where like I'll delete fucking 10 things, but it won't give me back hardly any space. And then I'll go to like make a video and it'll say, you don't have any space. You don't have enough storage space. It's like bullshit. I just deleted a bunch of shit. And so they have these like little like planned obsolescence things and little things they don't tell you about that go wrong on purpose. So yes, phones, they definitely have some bugs that when you update your phone, now they have ways to make your phone slower and shittier. Oh, your charger won't work anymore. And no charger that you plug in will work anymore. Oh, now you have to get another one. Oh, now it'll only hold a charge for like an hour and then it dies. Oh, yeah. They can like program it like that. Program it to break down like that. So I have to do this thing with my phone, and I got to do it again now, like the next time I want to make a video, because it'll have this other category that takes up all my data. So if I go to my iPhone storage right now, it'll tell me that everything's almost full. And then it'll tell me that I have 6.9 gigabytes of data in my system thing. Now, if I clean my phone, if I totally factory reset my phone, I can get that to go away and recover basically almost all of that data that they're stealing from me. If I factory reset and then reload everything, I can get that back. But then within months, it will accumulate back up again. And then I'll have to do it again. So in order for me to recover the stolen data that they're fucking just keeping, like if I delete a video, they don't give me back the data. They just keep it in there for themselves. So in order for me to clear all that out, I have to go through a factory reset and then download all my stuff again from a backup. And that will clear out a bunch of data. But within months, it will stack back up again. So that's another way, like they screw you with the iPhone shit. They'll be like, oh, you have 10 gigs. And then you'll go to like take a video and you'll be recording and your camera will shut off and it'll say, you don't have enough space. You're like, what the fuck do you mean I don't have enough space? And then you check and then somehow like they aren't fucking getting rid of anything you delete and it just stacks up into this system data category. Such bullshit. Makes me wish I could just like not care and live without one. But because I'm a YouTuber and because like I use a phone to make videos and I, use it to do, go the map, I can't go back to not having the map. Gotta go everywhere with it. So between all the stuff I use it for, it's like they've made it damn near impossible for me to throw it out the window and not have it. So it's hard to say, screw this technology, I'm getting rid of it, and then be like, oh shit, I can't do something as simple as like check the weather of where I'm going or fucking check my bank account or fucking check and see, if what's happening or what. So, the map, everything. So all the convenience of it, I'm not going to lie. I love all the convenience of the phone. I just hate how evil the damn device is when you really get down to it. So they've done a really good job at making this evil device something that I carry around even though I know it's spying on me. I know it spies on me. I know it's evil, but I still carry it around. And so do most every one of you. Oh, thank you, David. Yeah, I appreciate that. Best channel on YouTube. You know what? I happen to agree. I'm biased because I'm me, but I agree with you. Yeah, James, here's the deal with the multiple balloon discovery. That could be a cover as well. So if they had one balloon malfunction, they could throw us off the scent by saying that there's multiple balloons. See what I'm saying? Kind of throw us off the scent a bit. So I'm still not sold on multiple balloons. And then if there is multiple balloons, then that would lend itself to being for sure a psyop that's set up from beginning to end. So if there are indeed multiple balloons, then cover story for a malfunctioning satellite balloon goes out the window. And then I'll tend to believe that the whole thing's just a straight up psyop, fake, phony setup from the beginning. But I don't know for sure if there are multiple balloons or if that's just a detail they're throwing in to further confuse the public. Either way, it's not a Chinese spy balloon. 100% it's not a Chinese spy balloon. But whether it's a cover story or whether it's just a complete psyop, I haven't completely made up my mind. I'm waiting for them to give me some more information. Yes, they are stealing catalytic converters here in California. It's pretty bad. You can sell them apparently, and crackheads and meth heads can make money by cutting them off and selling them. So my van, when I used to travel around and do the van life stuff, when I rented this office one night, some tweakers sawed it off my van. And then when I started it up, it sounded like a race car. And I was like, what in the hell? And looked underneath and it was gone. So yeah, with like a saw, they can just get right underneath there, take it off, and then they go sell it. And in California, you can't just like buy a cheap replacement one. They want you to have a California compliant one, and then it has to pass like the smog and stuff. So between the getting your car smogged every 2 years, or the van smogged in this case, so my smog was due, and I would have had to have got a new catalytic converter. So when the guy stole it off my van, my registration was due like the next month. So I couldn't just put a pipe across there. I would have had to go get a whole new catalytic converter, which was $1,800. So in California, you can't just buy the cheap fucking Amazon catalytic converter. You have to get an $1,800 catalytic converter. And the van was only worth like $3,000. So I just got rid of it. And I didn't want to have it get stolen again. I was afraid that the tweakers would steal it again, because I can't be out there to like watch it 24 hours a day. And so if a tweaker can get under there and within 10, 20 minutes cut it off there, I was worried that it could get stolen again. So I just got rid of the van. And the van was a gas guzzler. It was a gas guzzler, and people would call the cops whenever I would try and go camping in a neighbor. If I like tried to sleep in it, take a nap in any sort of neighborhood around any sort of residential area, people would call the cops and say, I see a creepy van. And then a cop would come bang on the van and ask me what I was doing. So between it looking creepy and cops messing with me whenever I tried to like go camping out of it, it being a gas hog, and then it getting the catalytic converter stolen, had to get rid of it. So I'm planning on buying a minivan that sits lower to the ground to where it won't be less of a chance that the catalytic converter gets stolen, or it will be less of a chance that it gets stolen. And I'm thinking of building out a minivan into a camper van so I can sleep in the back, because I hate spending money on hotels, especially if I'm traveling and I'm only going to be in a place for one night. I hate having to shell $100 just to pass out in a bed and then wake up and leave. So my plan is to buy a minivan and put a bed in the back and do the van thing. I'm not going to live in it. I'll still rent my office, rent a room, and just have the van for traveling. But I do want to travel across the United States, and I don't want to spend a shitload of money in hotels. And so My plan is to grab a minivan, put the bed in the back, and this spring, in the summer, I'm going to do a cross-country trip, maybe like 2 months long, I don't know. Come out, set up subscriber meetups. I'm going to meet a bunch of you guys, meet some people who I haven't met, who've been following the channel for a long time, and see some parts of the country that I haven't been to in a long time, and some places maybe that I've never seen. So that's my plan for this spring when the weather gets better, is to do a cross-country trip. In the minivans, you can find some of them that are 6 cylinders that don't suck up that much gas. I even think they have some 4-cylinder minivans. So I know the gas won't be near as bad. Whereas my Econoline, the Ford Econoline van, it was a V8, and it was the old fuel injector motors, from the 90s that just absolutely guzzled gas. And so that thing was super expensive to drive around. So a minivan won't be near as bad on the gas. Mainly, I just need enough space to sleep, because when I try and sleep in my car, so right now I have a Toyota Camry. If I try and sleep in my Camry, I can only pass out for like an hour, 2 hours at a time, and then I wake up and my back hurts and I'm sore. I don't sleep well. I feel like shit. So sleeping in my car sucks. But as long as I have enough room to lay out, then it's not so bad. Then I don't mind it at all. In fact, I prefer it rather than having to go through the whole rigmarole of stopping and getting a hotel and paying $100 and then having to get up and load up and get out. So it's easier when I'm traveling to do the van thing. Yeah, sleeping in a car sucks so bad. See, when I got rid of my van, I got a Toyota Camry. Just so I could drive around here. I just needed a car quick because my van, the tweaker stole the damn catalytic converter. So I went and got a Camry, and I still have that. And I went over to the coast and didn't want to get a hotel. I was too cheap to buy a hotel because hotels are expensive in California, especially by the ocean, especially in summertime. And so there was a few nights I went over to Santa Cruz or Monterey, and I slept in the car. And I wake up the next day and I feel like shit. And I'm like in a bad mood. Then I end up just driving back home. So when I used to have the van, I could go over to Santa Cruz, Monterey, crash out in the van, and then wake up the next day and go find a Planet Fitness, take a shower. Yeah, you can do Walmart parking lots, but I don't really like the sound of all the cars coming in and out and stuff. So I was usually trying to find a spot that was a little more like quiet and private so that I don't have to listen to all the cars and stuff. But yeah, you can do Walmart parking lots. Chris Lee Aries says Jake stop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've never been up there. So those are some states up in the north that I have never been to. So Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin. I haven't been to any of those states, so those would be new places for me to check out. The farthest up there I went was Chicago. I did a meetup in Chicago, and I had people from Minnesota and Wisconsin drive down to Chicago to meet me. So there were people who drove 2-3 hours to the Chicago meetup. I had probably 30 people show up in Chicago to meet me. That was one of my bigger crowds. That was in 2017. So it's been a long time since I've went and drove across the United States and did meetups. So it'll be interesting to see how many people show up this time. Jake says, don't come to Michigan, all homos here. Well, I'm 100% coming to Michigan because my friend Shay lives there, and I haven't ever been there. And I hear there's some nice areas. I hear Detroit's an absolute hellhole, so I'm not going to go hang out around Detroit in the bad area or anything like that. But I hear there are some nice areas during summertime. So I'm definitely gonna come up there. I'm pretty sure it can't be all homos. Because even in a place like San Francisco, where there's more homos than anywhere, even there has straight people. It's not all homos. So I'm thinking if I took off in spring, early spring, I could take the southern route and hit the southern states first, and then as it warmed up going into June, head up north and hit all the northern states before summer kicks into full swing. That way I could wrap up the trip just as it's getting hot as balls. Because one thing I don't like is traveling in the extreme cold or extreme heat. It just sucks. And so last time in 2017, I started the trip in June, and I went through Phoenix in summer, and it was nasty. It's like Phoenix was there was a lot of cool people who met me there, but the weather in that area during the summertime is just nasty. So if I'm gonna roll through the southern states, I'm thinking I could start in like May, do like a month on the southern states, all the way to Florida, hit all the southern states all the way to Florida, and then head up the coast, up through the Carolinas, and then as it was hitting June and the weather was hot, then hit all the northeast states and loop back around and do like Washington State and all those places. So I'm thinking it'd be nice. It would be fun to do a big ass loop and hit a bunch of places I've never been. Rapture Ready says, for entertainment purposes, next live feed, would you be willing to juggle grapes? That's a really weird request. I don't know how to juggle, bro, so I would just drop them real fast. I would do it like once and then drop them. So beings, I never practiced juggling, and I don't really buy grapes. It's just not, I mean, they taste fine. I just don't ever buy them. I don't see myself buying them and juggling them next time. And again, that's really weird that you would say that and request that, but thanks, I guess. Jenny Simon says, dang, so I'm going to be last. You're going to be so worn out by the end of the trip. Well, that depends. See, if I have a decent setup, if I have a van with a nice bed and I can get some decent sleep along the way, then it won't be as bad. Last time I was in my Camry, and half the time I would stay at people's houses or a hotel, and then the other half of the time I would just crash out in the car or camp out. So I didn't sleep very well last time, and I didn't have that much money, and so I was on a real tight budget, and so I was eating shitty, cheap fast food and not getting that much sleep. So last time it did wear me down. So I spent a month on the road last time. So it does wear me down, but if I like paced myself and didn't try and drive too much and just keep the traveling, like keep the legs short, only travel 3-4 hours in a day tops, and not do big long ass fucking 7-8 hour drives. If I can do that, make sure I'm getting lots of sleep and make sure to take days off and shit where I just sightsee and stuff, then it'll be fun. So I think it'd be fun for me to see some places that I've never been, meet some people who've been watching me for a long time, and then see some people who I haven't seen in a long time, all that stuff. So it would just be a fun deal for me. And right now I feel trapped in this office. Oh, and thank you again for the donation. It says, ha ha ha, just a goofy thought. Thanks, Rapture Ready. So right now it's like I feel like I'm kind of trapped because of the shitty weather. So like, and it gets dark so early. So I feel like I want to go somewhere right now. I want to go to the beach. I want to go do something fun, but it's cold. It's the dead of winter, and it gets dark by like 5:30, you know? And so by springtime, once we change the clocks and the weather's nicer. That's the perfect time for me to hit the road. So that's the plan. And this year, there's nothing holding me back from doing it. So, and it's easier to travel now that it's just me. So now that I don't have the dog, it's that much easier if I want to go on a long road trip. So I think now would be the time, or this spring. So last time I went and did the coast to coast trip was 2017. Man, the years fly by. Yeah, the Phoenix area blew up over the last decade. Millions and millions of people moved into that area, a shitload from California. And so during the winter, early spring, winter, and late fall, like it's nice down there. It's not so bad. People like it. But once you get to June, all the way through early September, it's just absolutely putrid. So yeah, from basically like the end of May until middle of September is just absolutely nasty in Phoenix. But I hear the rest of the time it's nice. I could bring a base with me. So if I travel with if I get me a minivan, I could definitely bring one of my bases. I have 3 of them. I could definitely bring one and maybe even bring like a little tiny amp too. All right. So we're almost going on 3 full hours of streaming, and I'm getting a little tired and a little hungry. So I'm going to get off here and let you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. And we'll see what sort of details arise tomorrow with the supposed Chinese spy balloon and the supposed intel that they're going to go recover out of the ocean. So until then, this has just been another opinion, another comedy routine from Jake the Asshole. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have not done so. And thank you all for being here. Thank every one of you for the donations, all my mods, and everyone who commented. Even if I didn't read your comment, I'll go back and watch the replay and read your comment. So thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting it up with me on a Saturday night. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Until next time, peace.